Hi, everyone. This is your voiceover for Gestalt play therapy from our chapter. This is not going to cover everything. So in our play therapy course this semester, we have master's students and we have PhD students. Either way, you most likely have taken a theories class where you learned different theories for counseling, and Gestalt is a theory you have learned in that class. Then some researchers sort of adapted that for use in the play therapy room. So if you are very Gestalt oriented or you loved learning about Gestalt, a lot of this is going to seem familiar. Obviously, I can't teach you everything about Gestalt theory or Gestalt play therapy. So I picked some highlights of some things you should know from our chapter, okay? If you love it, you can go in depth later. Gestalt play therapy, humanistic, process-oriented approach, and it works towards healthy functioning of our clients. Used for anxiety, depression, elimination disorders, family transitions, grief and loss, anger, aggression, trauma, abuse, PTSD, defiance, social isolation, somatic complaints, and illness. Where it says elimination disorders, and uresis and capricis and somatic complaints, we might come back to that later. And you might see throughout this presentation where Gestalt play therapy would be really good for that, of helping kids recognize what they feel in their bodies. Important theoretical constructs: I-thou relationship, organismic self-regulation, contact boundary disturbances, awareness and experience. I-thou relationship, equal in power and entitlement. So Gestalt play therapists don't think that they are better than the kiddos. Oh, this is my special chair. You sit on the stool. They would never say that, right? If the kid wanted to sit in the chair, the kid could sit in the chair, right? Both parties willing to fully bring themselves. Honesty, no walls, no pretenses. The relationship is filled with mutual honor, respect, genuineness, and congruence. I don't know if I should say this or if it would be inappropriate. One of the things I was thinking about when I was typing up this slide and reading the chapter on Gestalt play therapy, I was thinking about if you work with kids long enough, for enough years in the playroom, someone is going to need to fart and pass gas. And I've noticed that it just, right, that we're honest, no walls, no pretenses. Right, and they'll either tell me or they'll just let one out. And I thought, I thought about that when I read this slide, that they can just be them, fully bring themselves. All right. Organismic self-reflection. Organisms naturally seek homeostasis to maintain health. As needs and environments change, humans adapt to restore balance and fulfillment. This process supports growth, learning, and potential. Children facing challenges, trauma, and loss use coping strategies, some effective, some not, to regain equilibrium. Phases of the counseling process. There are none. Gestalt play therapists do not have phases. The presentations I've recorded so far were the CCPT and the Adlerian, and those had phases. Now, Gestalt play therapists, this is sort of what they're striving toward. Developing an I-thou relationship, evaluate and establish contact, strengthen the child's sense of self and self-support, encourage emotional expression, help the child learn to provide self-nurturing, focus on the child's process, and finalizing the therapy. Role of the therapist in Gestalt play therapist. This is another one that is balanced. It can be non-directive and directive. They'll use both types of techniques. In the non-directive role, builds connection through presence and acceptance, focuses on being with the child in the moment, rarely uses basic tracking or restating skills. In the directive roles, they might select materials and design activities, encourage emotional expression, self-awareness, and self-nurturing, and they might use advanced techniques, role play, art, guided imagery, storytelling, metaphors, and more. Goals of Gestalt play therapy help the child restore a sense of self, accept all parts of themselves, develop self-report, tolerate pain and discomfort. Therapist works within the child's social systems to support emotional, physical, and intellectual functioning. Additional goals, building the relationship, restore sensory motor functioning, linking back to that enuresis. What do I feel when I have to pee? Express emotions, organize aggression, and reduce boundary disturbances. Sorry, there should have been a trigger warning for people who are easily disgusted that I was going to talk about peeing and farting today, but here we are. Working with parents. Parents are active partners in therapy. Therapists involve parents in the sessions, provide education and parenting suggestions, assign at-home activities, encourage emotional awareness, and parents to support the child's growth. So if you like working with parents, you like assigning homework or things for the kids to do in between sessions, this might be a good play therapy theory for you. Distinctive features. It blends the non-directive and the directive, and it uses unique Gestalt concepts. The next few slides were just a few things that our chapter said about Gestalt play therapists that I thought were important to just go ahead and put one on each slide. Gestalt therapists enter the playroom with a sense of adventure. They are excited, right? They want to go on an adventure. Gestalt play therapists help children use their senses. Jen Lowe, who's talking in this presentation, right, your voiceover person, I don't use I have a bottle of lotion in my playroom. If a kid needed lotion, they could use it, but I don't use it on the regular, right? Gestalt play therapists, they might use lotion. They might do more smelling activities, more tasting activities. In this picture, like the Play-Doh and the sand and the water beads and the right? Popping bubble wrap and drinking hot chocolate and paying attention to how their mouth feels. So Gestalt play therapists, they use more of those sensory activities. Gestalt play therapists help kids increase their awareness of their bodies. So even these kids outside playing, right? And the kid is talking, gosh, what do you feel in your body when you're outside playing? Going back to my gross example, sorry, but if you have a kid who has a lot of poop accidents during the day, sometimes, right, that's daytime, sometimes it's nocturnal at night. Sometimes we talk about what does our tummy feel like when we have to go poop on the potty? And doing some activities, doing like a sushi roll in a yoga mat, wrapping up in a blanket. How does our body feel? Gestalt play therapists teach children to tap into their aggressive energy and use it appropriately. For each of these slides, I wanted a picture that sort of went with the quote, or it's not a direct quote, but the sentence from the chapter. And I had a hard time finding a photo of a kid punching a punching bag, taking a pool noodle and hitting a sofa. That was hard. Gestalt play therapists teach children to tap into their aggressive energies and use it appropriately. If they're feeling aggressive, that's not a bad feeling. We just need to teach them what to do. But apparently society and stock images haven't caught up with that thing. Gestalt play therapists help kids express their feelings. They might do lots of feelings activities or feelings games if they're being directive. Gestalt therapists will use storytelling, music, art, body movement, photography, and sensory awareness activities. Our chapter didn't say this, but the Gestalt, there are sand tray therapists who are Gestalt oriented. Gestalt play therapists help kids learn to accept the parts of themselves they don't like. Right. Thank you, everyone. Happy week. Happy studying. Thanks so much.